I woke up and realized I left my tools on a job site. I woke up and I realized I left on an attic light. I wish that I could unknow and get my life back. But I woke up, realized that I'm a hack. Hack, 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 hack. Hack, 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 hack. I am here to confess I leave run caps in their boxes. I would like to clear my name, but I leave drain plugs in a 48 frame. I wish that I could unknow and get my life back. But I woke up and realized that I'm a hack. Hack, hack, hack.
Just a dirty hack.
Hack, hack, hack.
A no good, rotten hack.
Guys, here I am at my shop. As you can see, I put in some of this nice insulation here. It's my turkey house insulation. That's not turkey feces, by the way. I guarantee you it's not turkey feces. I mean, I guess I can't guarantee you, but the guy said it wasn't, even though it smells like turkey feces. He said it wasn't. So, I mean, whatever. So I just want to talk to you guys about the TruTech Tools discount code. You know how we do our sponsorship thing, and I tell you guys to use the Shop Talk discount code at TruTech Tools, but there's also so many different discount codes at TruTech Tools, sometimes you might be conflicted about which one to use. So here's my solution to that problem for you. So if you listen to all the other shows, for the most part, they say that they're doing it to help the industry. So that's not me though. I'm not doing it to help the industry, I'm doing it to accrue wealth. So since I'm doing it to accrue wealth and they're trying to help the industry, let's not corrupt them by giving them code usages, because all that's going to happen is they're going to be corrupted into working for those code usages and the money that flows from it instead of the industry. So let's just keep it focused on me, because I'm already thinking about the wealth only and not the industry, and spare those other shows. So if you're going to use one of the other shows' discount codes, I mean, let's do them a favor. Let's keep their integrity intact and just use the Shop Talk discount code at TruTech Tools to save 8%.
All right, yeah, what about it? How's it going, everybody? Good to see you all this morning. Oh, I can't see any of you because this is YouTube. You can see me, but I can't see you. How unfair is that? I can't see any of you guys. Show's a little bit late because I was watching Top Gun Maverick clips. I haven't watched that movie yet, but man, I'm going to have to because that thing looks sweet. That thing looks super Delta Ultra sweet. And I'm going to enjoy watching that movie. And don't you guys ruin it by telling me what happens. Does Goose die? Does Goose die in the movie? I don't know if Goose dies in the movie, but I hope not. I really like that Goose. Anthony Edwards, great guy. Loved the show ER. Dr. Green died on that show too. What's it with Anthony Edwards? He's ill-fated, if you will. So, good morning, everybody. We're here in the morning this morning because that's the kids are back in school now. I thought I'd show you guys something, those of you on YouTube that could see stuff. I would show you this lovely picture I have right here. Oh my gosh, that is my little baby son, Jackson. His first day of pre-K. He's just so excited and happy and wonderful, and he's just a great guy. And I just love him to death, and I got to take him to school this morning. He put on his little book bag and ran inside like a boss, and I was just super stoked about it. He did a great job. I mean, he's awesome. He's a best kid, little baby, a 40-some-year-old father can have. That's 43 now, by the way. I'm 43. Can you believe that crap? When I started on YouTube actually making videos, I was only 32. Now I'm 43. Time really flies as a content creator influencer here in the content creator influencer world where we're all ultra famous. Ultra famous. No, that can't be right. I'm not famous. I wouldn't have Turkey House insulation in here. That doesn't seem right. I'm not ultra famous at all, am I? What a crock. It's an illusion. Yeah. Social media is an illusion, guys. That is absolutely true. So I was sitting in here this morning, and what I'm going to start with here today is, and let me go ahead and just tell you guys, you can call at any time as well. I'll put it on the screen. You can call if you want to. And I will take your call more than likely, unless it's a person I don't want to talk to, and then I won't. So if I don't answer your call, that means I do not like you. That's not cool. I'm sorry. No, I'll answer your call. I will answer your call. But I was thinking to myself about moments in time. Moments in time. People are like, what is this? Some kind of poetry reading? No. I was thinking back on my whole life in the trade, going all the way back to when I was a teenager. Thinking about what moments do I actually remember? Like, in that moment, what do I actually remember? What was going on in those moments? And I thought about that, and a lot of them are downers. I'm just going to be honest with you. It seems like you remember things that are negative a lot more than you remember things that are positive. And let me give you some examples of that. Thinking all the way back to, we're talking 20, 25 years ago plus. Geez, it's going to be 30 years. That's crazy. 30 years. That is nuts. I can't even believe. Is that accurate? 1994. Let's do some math here. In 2024 would have been 30 years since I did anything in the trade. Just part-time, but still, it counts, right? I think it counts. I think we try to inflate our, experience by adding part-time as well. Yeah, probably. I'm going to do that. So it's almost 30 years. Doesn't mean you're any better or worse than anyone who's worked one day. Just a unit of time, that's all. So I was thinking back, and for some reason, like I said, they're downers, man. I was at a job in Landfall, and my wife had called me, and my wife had just found out she was pregnant. And she called me, and she called me to tell me she had lost the baby. And for some reason, that's the first thing I thought of. It was like a really sad moment because my best friend coming up was working with me at the time. His name was Jason. We worked together for a few years, and I remember having to tell him about it, and it was, borderline emotional. Not quite there, borderline emotional. It takes a good bit for yours truly, but we were almost there, and it was stuff like that that came to mind. I don't know what you guys think about when you think back on all the stuff that you've, the memorable days in the trade. I don't know what days pop into your head. I mean, on a positive side, I remember when I got my license because I was so young. I was 19 years old and I got my contractor's license. But when I found out that I actually got the license, I was up in Virginia, not too far from where Curtis Bowers would be, actually. I was in Roanoke, Virginia, in a hotel room with my buddies after a hearty night of drinking. And we spent about 3 days up there, drinking heavily the entire time. Staying at the Apple Valley Motel, which was horrible. And I do not remember the other one. We called it the Bates Motel. That wasn't the name of it. But we called it the Bates Motel on account that it looked pretty creepy. And there was like a little house on a hill behind it, which was the Bates house, I guess. So, yeah. Guys, if you see the number on the screen, you can call it 910-970-0043. If you have anything interesting to talk about, or you want to call, you want to discuss, anything interesting happening at work, feel free. You don't have to. You can listen to me ramble. I'll be happy to. But feel free to call in if you would like to. So, like I was saying, all these are downers. That was a good one. But one of the other things that is like crystal clear in my mind was 9/11. And I think we've talked about that before. 9/11, 2001, it's been 22 years now, almost exactly. In here in about a month or so, or not even a month. 22 years since 9/11. That's hard to believe. That's just insane, because if I think back to and there's a helicopter going over my shed right now. What are the odds of that? I don't know if you guys can hear it. Let's see. The Vitalink medical helicopter periodically flies this way. So, whatever. It's gone now. If it's not a rooster crowing, it's a helicopter. Man, there'll be gunshots in a minute, probably. You never know. It was Zach streaming. Let's test out the cannon. Let's shoot our 50 cal a few times because Zach's streaming. That would be awesome, actually. 50 cal? I think someone shot a compressor with that. I think that was Brad, actually. Anyhow, so it was crystal clear looking back on 9/11. It's been 22 years now, and I still remember sitting outside the job site downtown Wilmington, sitting in the van, following along, trying to figure out what was going on. So that was pretty interesting stuff. Just experiencing that day and looking back on it, it seems like a different lifetime. But you know what? It's 22 years. If I go back to like when I was growing up, good morning, Will. Will's in the chat. The chat's going to be kind of light because we're early in the morning, but you're probably going to see me in the morning some this week. So if you want to check it out, feel free to. You know what I'm saying? Feel free. But if you go back to 1990s and go back 22 years, that's the 70s. You could still have the Vietnam War going on when I first started in the trade if you go back another 22 years. So it would have been right at the end of the Vietnam War. So it's all perspective. Just like when I think about in 92, I was huge into baseball cards. Had a bunch of baseball cards from, of course, the 1990s and then the 80s and some from the 70s as well. And if I think back now, that was 30 years ago. So that would be like if I had cards now, looking back then, it would be like having cards from the 1960s or the 50s or something. It's crazy. But time flies. I guess that's another point there. Time flies when you're getting older. The years pass like fence posts, guys. Another thing, I had written down a few things before the show started because I didn't want to forget them. It's not really job related, but job, as far as this show is concerned, our jobs and lives are intertwined. So we all go through a lot of the same stuff. So when my twins were born, it was 2006, they were born way premature by almost 3 months, 2.5 months or so. So they were in the hospital for over a month, both of them. And I remember the guy I worked with at the time, whose name was Jeff, actually came to the hospital and visited the twins. And he was just a good guy. He was just a nice guy, and he came out to the hospital. He was sitting with us, hanging out with us, and he went to the back in the NICU. And the NICU is not a place that is easy to go into because you have all these tiny premature babies and then just regular sized babies that are all having some very severe issues. And I can see it. I can see the baby that was sitting on the corner. And I don't know what happened to these children. The baby that was sitting in a little corner incubator that had a heartbeat of 220 beats per minute. Constantly. It was always that high. And it's the sort of thing that it hurts your heart to see it because they're in pain and they're just little and they don't deserve to be in pain, or that's the idea, they're innocent. And it's just a hard place to walk into. Some of my family members couldn't go into there. They wouldn't visit the twins in there because it's intimidating. But Jeff, he went in there. My work buddy, he went in there and he visited the twins, and he was even joking with me about it. And this stuff that happened in here, my daughter was 2 pounds and 15 ounces. My son was 4 pounds 4 ounces, so he's a bigger for having that age. And he had a lung collapse during this whole thing. I guess it's a pneumothorax is what it's called. Brandon says my daughter was in the NICU for 3 weeks. It sucked. Yeah, it's a drag to go in there because babies get out and they're fine. Both the twins are fine now. First day of school was today. I dropped Landon off at school. I dropped Mallory off at school, and that's interesting. Brandon says his was 2 pounds 11 ounces, so that's pretty close in size. You could put them in your hand, and it's pretty easy to handle the baby in one hand. It blows your mind. But like I said, if you don't have any children or it's a new thing to I don't know. It's a new thing to everybody, I guess, but it's just intimidating to walk in there. And I'll get back to Mallory in a minute, but I just wanted to say that Jeff was such a stand-up guy. He went in there, and that's just work. That's just the guy that I, did installs with. He went in there, and the horrible part of this is as time goes by, and Jeff got mixed up in, I think, some bad stuff, because after he left the company, my dad let him go, because that was back when I worked for my dad. Back in the mid-2000s, he let him go because the economy had just crashed at that time. The whole housing market thing was going on, and he got mixed up in some stuff, and eventually he actually had an accident and died. And he's 10 years younger, or was 10 years younger than me. He slipped and, broke his neck or something like that. It's horrible, because now so much time has gone by, and looking back, it's a shame, and it makes you sad to think about it. But let me tell this thing about Mallory real quick. So Mallory is my other twin. So there's Landon and Mallory. Twins are 15 years old. They're about to be 16. I had to take Mallory to school this morning at 5:50 a.m. So because she had ROTC Raiders practice, which is their team that competes in athletic events like obstacle course. They do all sorts of crazy stuff. But she had to be there for that. And so I ended up getting up at like 4:30 this morning. It was another good reason to do a show in the morning, because by the time the night comes, I'll probably be sacked out on the couch. But it was interesting to see her drive and come all that way from being 2 pounds and 15 ounces all the way up to a 15-year-old competing in these athletic events. Landon was first in the class. I mean, he had the highest grades of the entire freshman class last year. So I think it's awesome. It's a great life lesson. You talking about fortitude that you can put anywhere, including HVAC. Having a family, the stuff that they go through is way scarier than anything you're going to see at work. It'll definitely temper you, because when you're holding your kid in your hand in a NICU, there ain't nothing at HVAC work that's going to be intimidating once you put it in perspective. Another memorable day. We'll transition here. Another memorable day was the day. I'm not a good, I don't know if it's people person. I don't work well with others. A one-man company for so many years. I like being a one-man company. In fact, I'm going to take a break real quick before we do the one-man company bit, because I could probably run on about that. All right, show has sponsors. Here's a couple of them. Enjoy. Jobber. You can use the link getjobber.com/shop talk to get a special discount on their services. And just take a look at this. This is a Jobber website for those of you who are looking here. And so just take a look at this. We have the different features of Jobber. We have a client manager, scheduling and dispatching, invoicing and follow-ups, a mobile app, online booking, client hub, customer communications, job forms, reporting, credit card processing, email and postcard marketing, quoting, and follow-ups. They do a lot of stuff for your company, and they actually work with another sponsor of this show, Company Cam, which we'll talk about in just a second. For people in business, you give up so much of your time that you could be spending with your family, with your friends, or just having a good time or decompressing is taken up by all of these tasks which go back to your business. Jobber helps take some of that burden off of your shoulders. If you're a business owner, if you're an aspiring business owner, investigate this. If you're in business, check it out. getjobber.com/shop talk. We were talking about Company Cam, and here they are. The only app every contractor needs. You snap pictures, you're saved in a company feed. Your whole company is plugged in and know what's going on each job site. The boss man knows what his guys are doing. The guys know what each other are doing. You don't have project managers disconnected from their crews. Everybody's put together. You can store the photos, you sync them, you can share them, you cover your butt, and you stay plugged into each other. And it works with Jobber. So there's two sponsors right here that work together to help make your company a better company and give you back some of your life so you can spend time with your family, your friends, your dog, your gerbil, whatever. CompanyCam.com, getjobber.com/shop talk. All right, now what about it? Okay, so the phone line's still open if you guys want to call in. I like being a single-man company. That's what I was talking about before we took a little break there. Single-man company was really what I was all about because I mean I don't know if I like being alone. I like working alone. It's just the way I am. Defective, whatever. I don't care. It's just the way it is. So running a crew was always interesting for me because sometimes I would have a crew of 3 or 4 guys working underneath me when I worked for my father. So we'd be doing these housing developments and I'd be in charge of this crew doing installs. And one of the things that bothered me about this stuff is because we would go out to a job and I was always unclear on exactly how should I put this, how severe my disciplinary side should be. Like if there was guys goofing off and stuff, how much of it do you let slide and how much of it do you have to address? And I never really got a good handle on that. And that was just because I just suck at it. And it was tough for me. But there's this one guy named Vince, who was such a pain in the butt because to me, it wasn't about discipline, whether to do it or to not do it. It's just that he was like a Debbie Downer. He was a real Debbie Downer all the time, always complaining. He's like Eeyore. I don't think I can work today. My leg hurt. Stuff like that. I don't think this is the right fitting. You should have got a better fitting. And there was a day that he was just complaining and complaining, and and we ended up arguing. And I just remember this very clearly because Jeff, the same guy I was just talking about, was working with me at the time. And we're arguing, and I'm talking, and Jeff afterwards, after he leaves, he's like making fun of me for the way I was talking. Did you just say you didn't care for that? It's like a phrase I've never used in my life, and all of a sudden I'm using phrases during this argument I've never used in my life just because we're in this heated argument, and I end up sending him to the supply house to go pick something up. I don't even remember. I think it was like a squared around or something. But I just hated stuff like that. I would much rather just do stuff myself. And it's one of the things that I had to work on as a father because I had to put my kids on certain activities to teach them things. And sometimes I just take it over and do it myself. And it just is not a good way to be. As another helicopter goes by, we're now like a large metropolitan area here in Willard, North Carolina. Yes. There's more cows than humans, but all of a sudden we have multiple choppers every day going by. Wow. Last but not least, and then we'll go to some comments that I thought were pretty good. Last but not least, there's multiple occasions that I worked for my late sister. Many of you know my sister passed last year from coronavirus complications. But before that, I had worked for her on several occasions, and well, they did some of the shadiest work of anyone that you could probably think of. I mean, there was some bad stuff out there. Like you guys take pictures of stuff and show other people. It's like, look at this thing. That was probably them who did it, probably. But and I got intertwined with it a few times, and was corrupted by it. Like if you participate and you don't do anything about it, then you are the problem. So I was definitely the problem. And just some systems that I had installed, and looking back on it is like I would not be very proud of. I remember one of them offhand that didn't have a disconnect at all. Although I did believe there's going to be a disconnect there. I found out when I came back because I had to have a factory representative come out to that particular job only because the compressor died. Was it? It's either compressor or reversing valve. I think it was the compressor that died. So the factory guy came out and ascertained that it was legitimately a compressor failure, but because it was a commercial setting, they didn't have that ICP, and this was Heil. ICP will give you a new unit if the compressor fails in a certain period of time on these mainline units, which is their nice higher end stuff. But unfortunately, because it was commercial, that didn't apply to that, so I got a new compressor. So he came all the way out there just to approve a new compressor, which seemed kind of dumb to me. But I did get embarrassed because he got to see the fact that this disconnect, which was on this unit, was just empty. Didn't do anything. So I had to either go downstairs and wander through this daycare to try to find the disconnect as a breaker in the breaker panel, this is just an embarrassing story to tell, or just try to work on everything hot. We worked on everything hot. We are idiots. I can't stress that enough. That's stupid. But that wasn't the only thing like that. There was multiple occasions. They did some stuff. I don't even think I can repeat any of it. She's even passed, and I don't want to repeat any of it. It's so bad. But I allowed myself to be part of it for a significant period of time. But then I finally said, okay, that's enough. And I even ran into them at a supply house because they would appear at United or Johnstone periodically because I guess they're able to buy stuff just like contractors, I guess, somehow. And I remember they came up to me, or he came up to me and said, my brother-in-law said, want to do some work for us? I'm like, I'm going to pass on that. Because I just don't, I've learned not to be anywhere near that now. So I'd like to continue to not be anywhere near that. That's tough too, because that's family, and it's hard to do that with family. That's why I did it for so long. It's hard to say no. I mean, this was my sister, you know what I'm saying? Family is more important than other things, but eventually it's like, hey, okay, you're dragging me into something I don't want to be part of. So I'm going to step away from all of that. So let's get into some comments, guys. I know I had some comments, and I put them up here like a few days ago, but never got to them. So let's go ahead and clear these comments out from some of you guys, and we'll see. There'll be some fresh ones next time, I'm sure, as there are many YouTube comments that appear every day. I get dozens of comments a year on my YouTube channel, and it's hard to sift through all of them in less than 20 minutes. Okay. This is the first one from Mark Cotter. Like the video. Hey, Zach, why no yellow tools like Dewalt, Fieldpiece, or Fluke? You against yellow. And probably looking at the power tools that I have. And I don't have any Dewalt, although I did have Dewalt. In fact, at the time, whenever I was going to originally look at this a few days ago, I actually brought this over to the table. This is my Dewalt Vacuum. As you can see, it has a NiCad battery, probably. Before there was the lithium. So this is from 2012. I think this is a DC 9096 vacuum cleaner. It's like a half-gallon vacuum. You can go back on my videos and see this in action back in 2012 when I first got it. And I think this bad boy was like $100 back then. But it still works, and the battery still charges and everything. It's 18-volt XRP, which was the nice ones. I had a hammer drill. Don't think I ever had an impact driver. But yeah, so I still have this. The DC 515 heavy-duty half-gallon 18-volt cordless wet-dry vacuum. So I do have this Dewalt product. I have no problem with Dewalt. I have no problem with pretty much any of them. In fact, I like to try out power tools, but I'm trying to get that under control because you can't be buying a bunch of power tools all the time. But no problem with Dewalt. Fieldpiece, I've had plenty of Fieldpiece stuff. In fact, my multimeters over the years, Fieldpiece heavily. Fieldpiece SC57 is my favorite multimeter of all time. The SC57 is my favorite multimeter. It is discontinued, but the lady from Fieldpiece, who I think now works for JB, actually, if my Facebook was correct, which I don't know because I don't go there very often. The 57 is most similar to the SC480, now is what she said. It's like, okay, all right. So SC480, it's a lot more expensive now than it was before, but I always used like the Fieldpiece SC76, 77, 57. They're good meters. I always use those. And now I just have some no-name stuff because I don't go out in the field, so I don't need anything too durable. Fluke, no problem with Fluke. I just never had a whole lot of Fluke meters over the years. I had the FC 902 FC, pretty good meter. No problem with Fluke whatsoever. It's just never really had a whole lot of them. Let's go on to the next one. On the video, did these HVAC companies deserve bad reviews? Daniel Seitz says, company I work for charges a bit above $400 total with cap and diagnostic. That's nice. Diagnostic in some cases. So $400 to me is like a lot of money for a run capacitor. So I don't know if you guys, if that sounds about right to you guys. To me, that's way too high. But it could be based on where he's at. There's a lot of factors, so we can't really judge the guy. You can't say, oh man, 400, you're ripping people off. I hesitate to say that because in some parts of the country, it might be like, okay, well, that's fine. That's okay. I don't know. That's a lot of money to me. 400 is it's like double what I would have charged. A little bit over double what I would have charged back in the day. But hey, man, what do I know? I'm not a businessman, so I can't really say anything about that because I suck at business. So I shouldn't say anything, actually. All right, so here's another one right here. Why the Bosch IDS units will never control humidity video. Allison B says, which Bosch unit series would you recommend in a 3-ton unit for a small condo in Florida? A WQ or SV series? I don't really know what a WQ or SV series is, which one's which. All I'm going to say is neither, because I think you can probably get like a single stage Ream unit or single stage Goodman unit, and it'll be just as good as Bosch, and you can save yourself some money. So that's what I say about that, even though I think the Bosch can be altered and you can actually do some work on the Bosch and probably make it awesome. If you're just going to buy something and leave it there stock, I say just get a Goodman unit. Might as well just buy a Goodman. Oh gosh. Or a Ream or whatever. Whatever. Just basic unit. I don't see any special reason to do anything crazy. And a condo too, the smaller the place is, the less advantageous one of these units would be to me. Because the smaller it is, the less load there is, and the less difference it's going to make. Just have it sized correctly, and you should be all right. Cheap and good and fast HVACR vacuum rig video. Jody says, I was thinking of buying this combination, which would have been like the Appion and core remover, but would I still need to buy a separate core remover tool? Or do I only need to remove one core? Well, technically, you should probably have both sides cores removed, have a micron gauge if you're one hosing it, meaning you have one vacuum hose going from the pump to one side of the system. You have that core remover there, you have the core removed, and on the other side you can have the core removed with the micron gauge attached, so you can section it off whenever you're done using it. You can put some charge in there. But any which way you do this, there's going to be an opportunity for air to get in the system, which is the case. It's never perfect. You're never going to make it perfect where you're never going to get any air in the system. But if you have core removers on both sides, you can probably do a little bit better job getting refrigerant into the system without getting air into the system. Although, to be honest, if you did it this way, okay, now let's do a little bit of critical thinking here. You guys can let me know what you think. Give me hateful comments and let me know how wrong I am. I do appreciate that. My wife's good at that. So if you had one core remover and the one hose on the one side, if you put a micron gauge, as long as it had a depressor on it directly to the system, and you run it down, you get the proper micron reading, you do your decay test because it's connected to the other side of the system, it passes decay, and you just kind of took it off real quick and just a little bit of air might have exchanged, and just let the pump run a little bit longer, that's probably just fine. That's probably great. So shouldn't be that big of a deal if you can't afford getting all of it right now. And that's a legitimate argument. If you're short on funds or you don't want to spend tons of money at one time, I mean, just do it the best possible way you can and shoot for doing it the best way. And you also have to weigh out which way actually, where's the end of that? Where does it become just wasting money to get very little return? You really have to gauge that stuff, because if you're just getting better and better, spending hundreds of dollars on tools to get like 0.5% better, you may never actually be able to tell the difference, or your customers or the machine. And if that's the case, you wasted money then, right? So that's what I say. So you can do it with one. Two is probably a little bit better, but I think one you could probably do as well. Or you can just leave the micron gauge directly on the pump. I'm kidding. Sorry. All right, next one. All right, this was good because someone else came in here. My buddy Kangaroo God came in and answered this question, and he answered it better than I would anyway, so here you go. Skaggs asked, hey, is the question I cannot find an answer for. Why not use R134A in both car and home air conditioning systems? Or the other way around, why don't we use 410A in both systems? Kangaroo God, the aforementioned Kangaroo God, says, it is a low-temperature refrigerant designed for applications with little load such as cars, home appliances, and small refrigeration. It would not be ideal for continual high-load usages such as homes due to boiling point properties. So Kangaroo got busts in there with an awesome answer, because I've wondered the same thing before, not really thinking about it. R134A, let's just use it everywhere. Let's just use it everywhere. Kangaroo Guy comes in here and gives us the lowdown. Way to go, man. That's why we have the best viewers and listeners in the world answer these questions, because I ain't like I know the answer. Know what I'm saying? I'm just kidding. I know some stuff. I know some stuff. I do. I know some stuff. So, guys, out there in the world today, you can call into this show. We're going to wrap it up here in a minute. I'll let you guys go about your workday. I want you to know that I'm going to try to appear here in the morning a little bit more, because in the morning, you guys can call in. You can lay the phone on top of a condenser and listen while you're working, and I hope that I can entertain you a little bit. I'd like to entertain you, maybe learn you something, some which way. I don't know. I would like to. I don't know. But I was talking when I started this whole thing about Top Gun Maverick. I haven't watched it. My son's seen it 3 times. 3 times. And I was thinking about this, and it made me think about something else. Plus, we were reflecting back on other job stuff earlier in the show here. I was thinking about when I first started and now. I'm 43 now. When I first started, I was a teenager. So what is the difference between me then and me now? What's the biggest difference besides just being older and going through some life stuff? I would say the biggest difference, and I can think back on my thought processes back then. They weren't radically different. I mean, I'm the same person. But patience. Patience has gone up quite a bit. And, you know, where I would have had temper issues or something when I was a kid, I don't know if it's having kids. I think it probably is having kids, being married. But patience has been the biggest difference. And wisdom, maybe. You know, and we're saying wisdom is in, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, if I was a 1 before, I could be a 2 now, and that's double the wisdom. So take it with a grain of salt. But I think patience is a big deal. And it's something that has to be exercised, and something that has to be cultivated. That's probably the better word, cultivated. You have to want to develop it, and using it with your family and using it in other situations help it to grow and you to master it, and I think that's very important. There's a lot of things I'm bad at. I'm not really great at patience. I've just gotten better over the years. I thought I would mention that. I don't know why. I thought about that earlier. I'm going to turn off our call sign because I'm get out of here in just a minute. I know I have to maybe we'll do some more sponsorship stuff next time. That's right. I try to gauge, try not to play too many sponsor things at the time, because, you're sitting here and you're listening to a show, and if it's like 10 minutes goes by and there's another one, you're like, get out of here. This sucks. So I don't want to do that to you guys. So I'm not going to do that, okay? But we have great sponsors, okay? True Tech Tools, Shop Talk, Discount Game. Okay. So I guess we're going to wrap it up for today, guys. I'm going to try to come in around the same time tomorrow. I know it's kind of off guard coming in here like this, but I want to be able to, kind of be with you in the morning, and while you're going to work on the West Coast, while you're working on the East Coast, maybe give you something to listen to, and we'll go into some more of those comments tomorrow. We'll branch out. I'll try to get you guys, I didn't get the email out before this one. I'll try to get you some prior warning, so you can call in if you want to. You can send in a question. You can send in a topic to discuss. And plus, I'm going to, I'll look up my own topics and stuff like that, get some news for you, anything interesting that's going on in the world of HVAC to bring it to you. And that's where we'll leave it off, guys. I am Zach Ciota. I don't think I was going to load something up. I was going to load something up and play it, but I'm going to save that for a different time, I think. Yeah. I'll save it for a different time. We'll do that tomorrow, maybe. My name is Zach Ciota, and this is the HVAC Shop Talk podcast. And I will see you guys on the next one.